Fora TV. The world is thinking.
We're very lucky this evening to have John Perkins with us, who most of you know probably from his previous book, Economic Hitman, and he has his new book here, The Secret History of the American Empire, which he'll be talking about tonight and answering any of your questions. So without further ado, John, where'd he go? Okay, John.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Thank you so much. It's wonderful to be at Cody's. Wow, what a great place to be. It's a bookstore I've shopped at many times in my life. My wife is from Kensington, just down the street here. My father-in-law was one time chief architect at Bechtel Corporation. So I know this area and I know Bechtel very well. It's wonderful to be here with all of you tonight. Such a beautiful night. I suspect a few of you were as tempted as I was not to show up here tonight. So I would expect that many of you, like me, here tonight are feeling that this is a very challenging world that we're living in. I just happen to have the good fortune of having dinner tonight with Mike Brune, who's the president of Rainforest Action Network, and his 2-year-old daughter, Olivia. I think they're here someplace. Mike and Olivia, are you? Oh, they just took a trip to the bathroom. Okay. And it just really brought to my mind being with this 2-year-old daughter of a man who's doing amazing things in the world through Rainforest Action Network, that you know, we really have an incredible responsibility on our hands right now. We have this challenging world with climate change. There he is, Mike and Olivia. I just mentioned that we had dinner together tonight and who you are, and there's Olivia and there's Mike. Because I have a feeling you may not make it through the whole thing tonight. But in any case, what I was saying is that having dinner with a 2-year-old and a man who's done such amazing things to make this a better world really brings home the urgency of what we're facing today. And tonight's going to be a very optimistic speech. I know we're going to change the world. I know we're going to make it a better world for Olivia and every 2-year-old, every child being born in Ethiopia. We've got some Ethiopians here with us tonight also. And with the ladies from Ethiopia, stand up for just a second, please. Thank you. In order for Olivia, Mike's daughter, to grow up in a peaceful, sustainable, and stable world, every child being born in Ethiopia and in Indonesia and in Bolivia also has to have that expectation. And so tonight, we're going to talk a lot about this world that we've created and really emphasize what it is that we all can do to change that. My first book of this type, it's not my first book, but of this type, Confessions of an Economic Hitman, was my confessions. This next book, Secret History of the American Empire, includes stories by a lot of other economic hitmen and jackals, people who came out of hiding, who confessed to me, and I tell their stories. But to me, the most important part of this book is that it outlines a plan for turning all this around, for creating a world that Olivia and every child born in Ethiopia and everywhere else on this planet will be proud to inherit from us. Is this mic working? Can everybody hear me okay? Yeah, great. So, but I'd like to start tonight by talking a little bit about how I became an economic hitman and what we economic hitmen do. And some of you may have already covered this territory if you read Confessions, but a quick review. Back when I was still in school in Boston, I decided that I didn't want to go to Vietnam and fight in that war. And so I was looking for alternatives, and my wife's father at the time was high up in the government, and a good friend of his was high up in the National Security Agency, the nation's most secretive and perhaps largest spy organization. Who knows how big it is. And so they arranged for an interview for me, and I went through a series of very intensive tests, lie detector tests, psychological tests. And the National Security Agency determined that I'd make a good economic hitman. And also they discovered several weaknesses in my character that they could use as hooks to pull me in. And I sort of think these weaknesses in my character are kind of like the three big drugs of our culture: power, money, and sex. Now remember, I was in my early 20s at the time. And who amongst us doesn't have at least one of those addictions? I happen to have all three at the time. But I also, shortly after I accepted a job with the NSA, I heard a Peace Corps recruiter. And he got me very excited about the idea of going to the Amazon, a place I'd always wanted to visit. So I called this guy high up at the National Security Agency. I was very frightened about calling him, and said to him, you know, even though I appreciate your offering me a job with the NSA, I'd really like to go to the Amazon with the Peace Corps. And to my surprise, he strongly encouraged me to do so. I know why now, because those people that I ended up with, Schwa, how many people here have seen a shrunken head or a picture of one? How many people here have visited the Schwa or the Atro? We got some Pachamama Alliance people here, do we? Ah, yes, we do. I'd always wanted to go to these places, and these people today are very strongly fighting our oil companies. So what I came to realize later was that my Peace Corps experience with these people was training to be an economic hitman. In any case, the Peace Corps sent me to a training camp in Southern California, Escondido, a nudist colony. This is funny. You guys are kind of, you know, it's a little serious here, but this isn't exactly a serious conversation we're having here. It's just about the future of our planet. Anyway, a nudist colony was a good place to train for the Peace Corps because in the Amazon, because the Schwa people don't wear many clothes, or at least didn't in those days. But in any case, in this training camp, I spent 8 weeks learning Spanish. And if anybody here studied language, you know 8 weeks is not a lot of time to learn a language in. And because I graduated from business school, they also taught me about credit and savings co-ops, to be a specialist in credit and savings co-ops. And then they sent me to Ecuador and deep into the Amazon, into Schwa territory. And as I was going hiking through the jungle for a couple of days, it's pouring rain, it's the rainforest, people are coming out, Schwa people coming out of the rainforest. I'm practicing my lousy Spanish on them, and appalled to discover that my Spanish is better than theirs. They don't speak Spanish. They speak Schwa. So I'm being sent in, taught Spanish to go in and work with people that don't speak Spanish. Next thing, I get to the community. There's a guy there who speaks Spanish. He's the school teacher, and I explained to him that I'm here to help him form credit and savings co-ops. You got it. The Schwa don't have money, you know. Currency doesn't last in the rainforest. In those days, they had absolutely no money. Everything was by barter. So this was my introduction to the government bureaucracy of the United States. And I very quickly learned that my vaunted education had absolutely nothing to offer these people, but they had a great deal to teach me. And it's been a very valuable experience for the rest of my life, to learn about our connection with each other, with the earth, and the importance of looking out for future generations, because the Schwa, the Achwa, all indigenous people, that is their main concern in life, is how do we take care of the Olivias? How do we take care of the children of the planet? And I think that is the real challenge that faces us today. This really isn't about our concerns around global warming, or the ice caps melting, or, you know, are we going to have enough water for us tomorrow? Are the lands in Florida and parts of California going to be flooded? For our sake, the real concern here is what kind of a world are we creating for our children? And I think it's fair for us to say that we know that no child can have a good world unless every child does. We're a very small